First, we are going to create our provider account and log into the directory web application. This is the main interface of the directory web application. Our first action as a provider is to create an API key. The API key will be used from our web service to make requests to the directory API. Next step is to add our data source to the Farmtopia directory listings. Provide the endpoints, Swagger documentation, OpenAPI JSON schema, terms and conditions that the consumer must agree upon in order to use the dataset, and generally various info to help consumers to use the data source and understand its contents. Upon saving, if all our provided info are correct, our data source becomes available in the directory listings. Now it's time to create a consumer account, find the provider data source and retrieve data from it. As we can see, our previously created data source is available in the directory listings. We proceed in subscribing to it, which requires us to accept the terms and conditions of the provider. Upon accepting the terms and conditions, the provider will be notified of our subscription request via email. Now we will log in with the provider account to check for the subscription request from the consumer. A record in My Subscription Requests page will be available with all the relevant data like the requester email and date of request. As a provider, we can either accept or decline the request. We now log in with our consumer account to check our subscription just to verify that our request has been approved. As we can see, our request has been accepted. Now let's move to our advisor application. We are going to use our consumer credentials to authenticate with the directory API. All requests to the directory are executed through the documented directory endpoints. Let's retrieve the data from the provider. This provider provides atmospheric data, so we display a simple graph. We are able to retrieve data from the provider because the provider has enabled SAM for exchange. If we stop sharing data, then the consumer will not be able to retrieve anything. Now we are going to add one more provider providing calendar data. The procedure is exactly the same as we did before for our first provider. This time though, we are going to use the URLs to create the data source and demonstrate raw endpoint calls. As previously done, we need to create our API key and subsequently add it to our API code. Now we are going to request a JWT from the directory using our created credentials. This JWT needs to be used on every request towards the directory for authentication. We proceed in providing our data source details to the directory through a request, and move on to the directory listings to see if our data sources has been successfully added. As we can see, all the info have been added successfully. Now, as previously done, we will log in with a consumer account and subscribe to the newly created data source. We will also log with the provider to accept the subscription. As with the previous data source, we again have our OpenAPI JSON endpoint, which we will open on our browser to check it out. We also have our Swagger documentation, which is again available online. Now, we will move to the advisor application to retrieve data from the newly created data source. These are the calendar data of our first provider. In the backend, everything is retrieved as JSON-LD according to the directory specification. And these are the data of the second provider. In this video, we went through two different providers adding their data sources into the directory listing and one consumer subscribing to both of them and retrieving their data.